Hello, this is Greg Allison from Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you from a large swath of the #1 wild edible in large areas of North America. In fact, you should never starve when it hits the fan if you know what I'm about to teach you in this video. And in fact, you will thrive and eat very well once you realize that you can eat the weed that's eating America. North America, look at this. What is this, Greg? This is kudzu. Kudzu is for you. And look at this, here's a whole farm that is ate up by kudzu, but you could eat it back. And look at this, here are the leaves. Greg, that looks like soybeans. Yeah, it looks a lot like soybeans if you know what soybeans look like. Why is that? Well, because this is in the pea family, and these leaves are edible. They are edible. Now, I'm not going to drop and do the funky chicken. I've ate these before. Yes, and in fact, you can eat all parts of this except for the really woody vines that are down in here. You can't even see them, they're so far in here. And if you get deep enough, you'll find woody vines, and these vines can be used for cordage. You get further into them, tastes like peas, tastes like beans, yum yum. It's actually delicious. And it grows prodigiously. Very good to eat. I like it. This stuff grows from March through November until the frost hits here. In my area of the country, I'm in grow zone 7. And it grows up over trees and kills trees. And this stuff will, it's so invasive that the U.S. Forest Service says it's on, they say it's growing 2,500 acres a year, but the Department of Agriculture says 150,000 acres a year. Greg, but this is a southern thing, you can only eat this in the south. Well, wrong. Actually, it is growing up through New Jersey, southern Ohio, Indiana, a fair bit of Illinois, and there are spots of it growing around Lake Michigan and the Chicago area, northern Indiana, and western Michigan. A couple spots in western Michigan. And there's even a spot between Washington State and Oregon, and a spot further south in Oregon. It's growing in Cape Cod, throughout New Jersey, and even can be found in parts of, there's actually a small patch of this growing in Ontario, Canada. In Canada! So guess what? Even if you live in the north, you might find this as something that you can eat. And if you're too far in the Rust Belt where it's not growing yet, hey, it may get there, and if it don't, well, hey, I can't help you. Because this is growing where a large part of the population of the United States lives. So, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this. Now, here's the key thing. To survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive, you need to subscribe to my links, because I'm going to teach you a lot more about stuff like this. And this is, like, I believe, the #1 wild edible because there's so much of it. It's growing so fast and it needs to be gotten rid of. It needs to be ate. And check my links below, because I've got more down there for survival supplies and my Patriot Supply stuff, where you can plant heirloom seeds from my Tree Leaf Market, and you can grow your own worms, produce your own fertilizer. When it hits the fan, you'll have power. You need to have your own fertilizer. You can recycle your kitchen waste. Be good for the environment, and have the best stuff you can ever grow your plants in, and make worm tea to get rid of the pest, and make your plants grow even better. Now, back to the kudzu. This kudzu is for you. Now, kudzu, you can even eat the roots. So here's the key thing. Even when the leaves are gone, the roots have a starchy substance in them. They're really good. The Japanese eat it to make delicacy dishes out of it, and you can eat the roots year round. The roots are something you can't eat for starches in the wintertime. I've mentioned in some of my videos that starches in the wintertime will be a chief challenge to survival. Well, it won't be if you're eating kudzu. Look here, curly dock. I think I might have mentioned curly dock in one of my earlier videos. I know I've videoed it. I don't know if I've aired it yet. I have to check my video repertoire. But anyway, you see the stuff is growing up over the trees in the distance there. It will overtake these trees real soon. And it does kill the trees that it goes over, because it deprives them of light. This is a very invasive weed that needs to be ate. Now, if you want to get rid of kudzu, it grows not exactly through the roots, but there are root crowns. nodules and nodes within the root system that the roots grow out of, and that's how it spreads. It does make a seed that looks a lot like a soybean seed, but they're hard to find. And if you find blooms on it, it's not in bloom right now, but if you find blooms on the kudzu, the blooms are great for making a jelly. And the vines themselves, the woody vines, are good for making baskets. And these more tender vines, now you can eat them. Anything that's tender on kudzu is edible. And their little peas look kind of like a soybean pea, much like the plant itself looks like soybeans. The soybeans are not as viney as this stuff is, and they don't climb like this stuff does, but it looks very, very, very much like those flowers or something else. Those are weeds. That's a wild woodland grass out there growing in the middle of the kudzu. So this is really interesting plant. This is something you can survive on because there's so much of it, and because nobody seems to talk much about it as a wild edible. Yet it is the most plentiful wild edible across the southeastern United States and much of the southern parts of Midwest states, and growing up the eastern seaboard and other areas in this country. It's spreading fast, and it can provide you a lot to eat. Now the leaves, going back to the leaves, so they after the frost they disappear. They come back pretty early though, but they disappear after the frost. You could dry these to make a tea out of them. You can dry them for animal feed. You can make hay out of this stuff. Humans probably can't digest that directly, but you might be able to grind it into a flour, and that may be digestible. Certainly be sawdust. So, but the roots, there's extensive root systems in here, and there's a whole lot of food in this field, and most people don't even know they can eat it. So when most people are walking by here starving to death, you've got all the grazing that's amazing that you're going to need. So right here, this may be your key to survival in hard times. If you combine this with my videos about eating from the trees, eating pine, and knowledge of how to purify and sanitize water, you have a real shot at survival. And here's more kudzu, and you can see this kudzu is starting to grow up into these trees. It's actually growing up over yon tree right there on top of it. It will kill that tree. This kudzu will grow up and over all of these trees, given time, deprive them light, and will kill them. This is very much an invasive weed. It comes from Japan and China, Southeast Asia. It does not belong in North America, but it is taking over North America. So take it back, eat some before it eats you. I urge you to like my video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that, and bang the update notification bell so you can get more notifications of future videos, because I'm going to show a lot more things that you can eat to survive. I'll probably concentrate a little bit more on gardening aspects next year in my videos. I've done a lot of indoor gardening videos with microgreens, probably a few more of those coming out, and I will continue some wild herbs, but I'll focus a little bit more toward gardening probably next year. All these are important skills that you need to know, and I will always show some of these wild edibles. And here's some of the docks down here. If you want to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive, this is the key to doing so. This, and subscribing to my channel so you can learn many of the various means to do so. This winter I'll also concentrate a little bit more on other survival skills, bugging in, bugging out, and discussions about that. More videos about things that you need to watch, to be aware of, to keep your head on the swivel, because so many things going on in the world today, the reasons why you need to prep, and more about prepping. So all that coming up in the future. And just remember, these are good. So thank you for watching.